Hey, it's Tom and Lacey of Do You Nerd?
You are watching Christopher Pico, the old-ass retro gamer.
What's up, everybody? Chris, the old-ass retro gamer here, back for part 3 of my Xbox Live video game collection streams. I think I got that all in the right order. Yes, this is part 3 of 4. So many games in this collection that I needed to split it up 4 ways. And why do I do these streams? Certain people are in this stream right now. You know this is your favorite part. It's 4 reasons. 4 streams, 4 reasons. Good content for the channel. It's fun. You get to talk to awesome people. And it's a good way to have a visual record of everything in your collection in case something bad happens. So, I've covered the first half of my collection already. Let's move on to the back half. Starting off with, this is relatively new. I think I got this within the last year. It's called Murakumo Renegade Mech Pursuit. I picked this up on my local retro shop. Video Games Then and Now. I always want to call it my original retro shop. People Play Games. That does not exist anymore. Video Games Then and Now is the new one. And this is a mech game where you're behind the mech, floating around in the air, taking out enemies, kind of Star Fox style. I haven't spent a lot of time playing it. I'm sad that it does not have a manual, but it's the reason I got a discount on it when I bought it. The place actually lets you know that there is no manual in there. But since I never see this game, I think the entire time I've been collecting, since I started in 2013, I've only seen this the one time when I bought it. So I wanted to pick it up because it is an exclusive to the Xbox, and I want to at least have the exclusives. And if I find any multiplats that tickle my fancy, I always end up getting it for this console because they usually look better and sound better. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. And it's by From Software, which is another reason why I snapped it up. I never knew this game existed, so that's why it is now in my collection forever. Next up we have... See, I've never really played... I play games like this. I've never actually played the OGs. We're talking like Myst. So we got Myst 3 Exile and Myst 4 Revelation. I do believe Riven on the PlayStation 1. I don't know if I have Myst, the original Myst, anywhere. And I don't know if the 5th one ever came out on a home console, but I might need to look that up. But these are basically point-and-click style adventure games where like you're given like a picture and you hover your little cursor over it looking for things. Like the cursor will change and say like, oh, you can look at this in more detail, or this is something of interest, or you can move this. Excuse me, that kind of thing. It's not much to them, but it does have a story that is trying to unfold. But since I've never played the OG, I have never actually played these, other than to make sure that they actually booted up when I first bought them. And they did. Therefore, all right. Oh, boy. Okay, next up is a reboot of an old arcade game. It's Narc. If you remember the original Narc, I do believe that it was made by Midway, but Rare covered the conversion to the NES. And it was an okay game. I mean, I liked it in the arcade. It kind of had pretty cool, I wouldn't say like Mortal Kombat style, like digitized actor graphics, but it was almost to that point. It was like we're maybe like 2 steps away from that. And it looked kind of cool. You're running around shooting drug dealers and arresting, or you can either shoot them or arrest them, steal their contraband, put it in evidence, that kind of thing. And this one is the same basic plot, but now done like a Grand Theft Auto style 3D game where you're undercover in a drug ring. And I hear it's all right. I haven't spent a whole lot of time playing it. I basically booted it up to make sure that it worked when I first got it. Features Michael Madsen and Bill Bellamy as voice actors in it, which is kind of cool. Michael Madsen, okay. Narc's soundtrack combines classic R&B with custom urban beats, and it does have the unlockable version of the original arcade, not released. I can't read that. It includes unlockable version of original arcade hit released in 1986. Okay. You don't understand how dark it is in here, actually. It doesn't look dark, but it is. So, yeah, I tried it out to make sure it worked, and it did have that GTA feel to it, so I figured I'd get back into it at some point. I think this is the one that Metal Jesus is always talking about, which is why I snapped it up, because he made it sound like this was like the game that he played on his PS2 like all the time back in the day when he first got back into console gaming. And I've never been big on this franchise. It did start back. I mean, the original game is available on the 3DO, and there's been like multiple games in the series, then spin-offs and spin-offs to the spin-offs and kind of stuff. But we're talking Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit 2. This is one where I do believe you're always constantly running away from the cops, but I have not spent a lot of time playing it. But I think this is the one that Metal Jesus is always talking about, that he and Drunken Master Paul were playing together all the time. But I haven't spent a lot of time playing any of these because I was not a big fan of the OG on the 3DO. I thought it was kind of generic and was kind of... It reminded me of like a really, really nice, updated-looking version of Rad Racer. It just wasn't much to it, so I've never really given these the time of day. Like, I would definitely take a... what's it called? Oh, god damn it. It starts with a B. Man. Now I'm going to be drawing a blank the whole night. Burnout. I'd rather play Burnout any day of the week. How about that? Next up we have... This one I'm not remembering much of. But New Legends. I picked this one up at my new local shop. And it looks like a 3D action beat 'em up. It just says, in the future, China is a world where mythology and technology meld together, but Zhao Gan plans to destroy all that's good. So few are left to fight. Approach battle with the style and skill of a warrior performing dramatic martial arts moves. Choose from up to 15 weapons, including melee and ranged, or a combo of each to use in battle. Defeat the half-demon villains and acquire their legendary weapons. Allies and friends will aid you in the battle to free China. It looked kind of interesting. I remember hearing about it back in the day, but I'd never actually owned it back then. So when I found this like dirt cheap at my new local shop, I snapped it up, but I have not put any time into it yet. Can't put any time into it right now if I wanted to because Xbox is inoperable. Woo-hoo. Next up, we have actually 2 games in the series, and I picked these up at Disc Replay. This is like when I first got back into collecting, like end of 2013, beginning of 2014. I would hit up that Disc Replay joint every week, usually like on a Wednesday, and I would find new stuff every time. And like I just kept on finding like really cool stuff that I had known about back when these consoles were new, but never actually had the money to buy. But now I'm finding them for like $2, $3, $4, $5, maybe 10 at the most. And I just kept snapping stuff up. So we're talking the Nightcaster series. I remember buying both of these at the exact same time at that Disc Replay place and going like, I mean, okay, cool. I've got an entire franchise in one go for under $6. So the first one is Nightcaster, Defeat the Darkness, and the second one is Nightcaster 2 Equinox. And these are like 3D. They kind of look like dungeon crawlers to me, but I do believe these are RPGs. I have not spent a lot of time playing these, but that's part 1. I looked at the back of this and I was like, for pretty early Xbox game, in the life of that console, that looks kind of rad. And then even though the cover for the first one is way better than what the cover for the second one looks like, that one just looks kind of generic. The pictures on the back for this one look kind of generic too, which makes me think that this was kind of a rush job to just capitalize on the first one, being kind of a hit. So can't really comment. Haven't played them a whole lot. This one I have, and I remember I found this while my brother was visiting from LA. We hit up the local exchange because he was like, I want to check out some of these like resale places you got around here because I'm looking for some like movies like on Blu-ray and stuff. So we hit up the one down the street and I found this while we were there. And I'm not a big fan of the license itself, but the games are kind of cool. And that is Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge. I have the Game Boy Advance version of this, which is pretty fantastic. I do believe it's pretty fantastic. I like that one a lot because it's a Metroidvania. This one is similar, but it's in a 3D, sort of like 3D beat 'em up. And you switch between like your head. It's like, what is it? You got Jack Skellington, and then you got like the Jack-o'-lantern character, and I can't remember what his name is. But you end up like switching between them for different powers. So yeah, I guess that works more as a sequel to the movie, but I'm not a big fan of the movie. I might be getting rid of this because I have the collection on the PlayStation 4 now of all the games in this series. We're talking the reboot of Ninja Gaiden. This is not a side-scrolling platformer, hack and slash like on the NES. This is a completely new game that is 3D, super freaking hard, and they even released like a harder version called Ninja Gaiden Black, which is like insane, and they kind of moved some of the items around so nothing is in the same place. But yeah, it is a 3D ninja beat 'em up platformer, I guess. That is really, really fun. It's got a lot of really cool mechanics to it, and the music is fantastic. The graphics at the time were like the ones to beat on this console. But nowadays, it's just kind of like whatevs. And like I said, I do have a collection with all 3 of the games in this reboot series on it. So this is kind of a moot point at this juncture, I think. I might be getting rid of it. I'm going to place it aside for now because I might be selling that one off. But this one, hells yeah. I need to play. Now that I have this, I have no excuse to not play through the second one in its entirety also. But we're talking Obscure. I picked this one up from, what is it, Nintendo Hodge? Member of the Cartridge Club. So the Cartridge Club had like a little convention that they set up in the Chicagoland area it was when Mission Impossible Fallout came out. So that was like 2018, I want to say. Maybe 2017, I don't know. But they set up shop in this like hotel in the city where I work in Skokie, Illinois, and like a whole bunch of the members of the Cartridge Club showed up. They were doing trades with each other. They were recording all their podcasts live in one of the what do they call it? The little conference rooms or meeting rooms that they have at the hotel. or banquet rooms, I guess, and selling stuff to each other and all that. Well, I had already made a deal on the Cartridge Club website. They had like a thread going in their forum as to like what people had available, if anybody wanted to trade or buy from whoever was offering, make your deals now. And I snapped up a bunch of stuff from Nintendo Hodge, and this was one of them because I wanted to play this. I've only played the second game in the series, and this is a survival horror game. And I'm not sure what the deal with this one. It just says staying late after class takes on a whole new meaning in the first action game created in the style of teen horror movies. Tortured screams echo through Leafmore High's deserted corridors. Faceless creatures lurk in the shadows. 5 teenagers set out to bring light into the darkness and experience a night that will scar their souls forever. Unique 2-player cooperative mode and features music by Sum 41 and Span. I don't know who Span is, but Sum 41 I do. But I played the second one. The second one is like a psychedelic thing. There's like these flowers that are giving off these fumes that are making people see monsters. But this one sounds like more of a slasher, which sounds rad to me. Now, I just wish I had a working Xbox so I could play this damn thing. What's up, man, boy cave? Hey, no problem. I'm here to enable. That is my job. My empty bank account is being shared with you. I empty my bank account so you can empty your bank account as well. Next up, we have there's 2 games. This is a franchise that started on the PlayStation, and I fell in love with it on the PlayStation. The original game was like one of my favorites because it was one of those cinematic platformers, kind of like Flashback, Quest for Identity, and Prince of Persia. And then it started branching off into like other things because that, they were 2D games were still kind of doable on the PlayStation era. But when you come to the next era, everyone's just like, nope, everything's got to be 3D. So we got to start changing stuff up. I'm talking about Oddworld, and we've got Oddworld Munch's Odyssey, which is a spin-off that also kind of sort of features Abe back there because we had Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus on the original PlayStation. This one is about one of the enemies, and this is like a 3D version of Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus where you're playing as Munch, who was one of the villains in the original series. And it's okay. This has gotten a re-release multiple times, HD remakes and whatnot, limited run, released it a couple of times, as well as the real weird spin-off, which is Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. I actually have this also on the PlayStation 3, believe it or not. Oh, yeah, they released it as a special unlimited run. And this one is the first-person shooter where you're playing as a character you've never really seen before in the franchise, just running through the world that is created for these games with all the weird creature designs and stuff. It is really kind of cool. One of my friends, it really was off-putting for them once I think they rented this, and they were like, yeah, I don't like the way it's changed so much from what it used to be. Well, you know what? Sometimes change is good because you can only play those types of games so many times. There's only so many things you can do with them. It's time to start switching things up, and I really appreciated this game for not following the franchise, pattern so far, and it went off and did its own thing. But sad thing is, this one undersold because of that alone, and that ended the franchise right here. And so this came out in 2002 or 3. I want to say, I think 2003, and we didn't get a new game in this franchise until the PlayStation 5 came out. So, yeah, it's laid dormant since then, but I'm super happy that Oddworld is back. I'm not in Skokie. I work in Skokie. Up in Gray's Lake? Yeah, that's way up north. We have these awesome games. I put these in my Xbox Diamonds of the Rough videos from years ago. And these are Sega joints. We've got Otogi, Myth of Demons, and Otogi 2, Immortal Warriors. These are by From Software, and you can totally tell because they're kind of batshit crazy. They are 3D beat-em-ups where you're playing as this mythical warrior that has these giant swords. And you're taking on all these ghost demon things. And it is pretty awesome. The graphics in this game, it took me by surprise. In 2014 or whatever is when I actually bought these games. I never owned these back in the day. I picked these up at that disc replay shop that I was always going to when I first got back into collecting. And I found both of these dirt cheap, and now they're worth a mint. But yeah, when I first booted this one up to make sure it worked, I was like, whoa, where did this come from? How come I didn't know about this? Or how come I wasn't aware of this back when the game was relevant? It is fantastic. It has great controls. The graphics are absolutely beautiful. The music is really cool. It's kind of spooky. It's just super fun. And the cool thing about part 2 is it's more of the same, but holy crap, is it more polished, and the story has been fleshed out a little bit more. These are really good games. I highly recommend them. The only problem is they are a little bit pricey, especially part 2. Why, I don't know. They seems like they were pretty common, because after I picked them up, I was seeing them all over the place. But that was also back in like 2014. Oh, here we go. That's what I get for drinking soda. Okay, there's a lot of games in this series I got to talk about. Okay, so one of the things was... Were these exclusives? Yeah, they were. There was this series of games that came out on this console exclusively at first, and then eventually I think some of them went to the GameCube and the PS2. But we're talking Outlaw Golf. So this is kind of like raunchy golf, where you can like talk smack to the people that are playing. You can like kick them when they're putting and stuff like that, and throw stuff. You can like have fights on the field and whatever. It's okay. The golfing game itself it's all right, but like it's just trying to be raunchy for raunchy's sake. It's just trying to be like super edgy and stuff like that. But it's all right. They're pretty cool. But what I did not expect when I got back into collecting is realizing that how far this game ended up stretching. So you got the OG, right? And it's like a decent golf game with like this, like I said, hard edge to it. And then all of a sudden you start realizing that Blockbuster started commissioning all of these like extra add-ons, like DLC packs for it. So then you get Outlaw Golf, 9 holes of Xmas. So there's 9 new courses to play on. And you can see it's a Blockbuster exclusive. And the thing is, like, Blockbuster was kind of picky about the games that they were not. Well, even the movies too. Like, if it was NC-17, no, you had to have an R-rated version, or you're not getting put on the shelves. Same with like some of the games; they refused to like stock certain games. But since these are trying to be like raunchy and edgy, the fact that these are the ones that they said yes, give us exclusive, add-ons to. Okay, so this is like a winter-themed version with 9 extra holes, Christmas-themed. Yay! Live action video segment featuring Summer, Autumn, Mistress Suki, and Pudding. Okay. And they did yet another one, which is Outlaw Golf, 9 more holes of Xmas, exclusive to Blockbuster. So you get 9 more winter-themed holes. Sure. And then once again, now you've got Outlaw Golf, Holiday Golf, 9 holes for the holidays plus $5 off. So this is just another add-on, but this one was not exclusive to Blockbuster. But sure, like I did not realize this went this far. And then that ended up being so popular, they made Outlaw Golf 2, but the franchise kind of ended there, or at least the golf version did. And this is more graphically advanced. There's a little bit more effort put into the actual golfing part, but now you can drive like golf carts all over the course and like run people over and stuff. And there's a couple of more mini games, but it's still the same basic thing. Really? But that proved so popular that they decided to stretch the Outlaw franchise into other sports, like Outlaw Tennis. And it's the same concept. You've got a basic tennis game, but now you've got like an edge to it where you can like beat people up and be a ninja and throw rackets and stuff like that at people. And yeah, sure. Features a slew of music licensed to keep 12 courts rocking. Online play, head-to-head online play, 16 playable characters that are customizable. Yep, 6 match modes, including hot potato, casino, baseball, football, pinball, and ping pong. Toss the rackets and come out swinging in an all-new fighting system to earn power-ups. Yeah, that's the thing. And then they went off to Outlaw Volleyball. This is basically like the edgier version of Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. because you can beat people up instead of just like watching girl parts jiggle around. You can actually see like a kung fu fight happening there on the court. Yeah, it's like I did not expect it to stretch this far, but apparently it did. Bonus inside featuring new music from Diffuser. I've never heard of that band before. But it doesn't stop there, because Blockbuster also commissioned Outlaw Volleyball Red Hot, which is just extra DLC. Like it says, it's costumes. These hot divas are too hot to handle. Get ready to bump, set, spike your way through a hell of a good time. Includes hot 2-on-2 volleyball action in the pit of hell. So it's basically a new location and some new costumes for Outlaw Beach or Outlaw Volleyball. And Blockbuster was, like I said, Blockbuster was kind of conservative, and they did one like, yeah, make us a game that takes place in hell. My Xbox, I think the power supply got burned out. We had like a thunderstorm, and this was before I realized that the Xbox that I have did not have that. If you remember back in the day, Microsoft sent out that like, what was it? The power plug that had like that. Oh God, what is it called? To stop from surge, like a surge protector built into it. I did not realize that I forgot that the one that I owned did not have that surge protector plug, and we had like a power surge happen. My Xbox power supply got fried. Took it to Minnesota last winter to visit Game Grinder and Jason from Corpse Blood Gaming, and Jason said that he had an extra Xbox laying around. He'll switch out the power supply in mine for the one the power supply in that one for the one that's busted in mine. But in doing so, he must have unhooked something or whatever, because now it works, it turns on, but it won't read any discs. So something's going on with the disk drive now. So he says the next time I see him, he'll take a look at it. I'm not like really upset about it. I'm just, I'll get it fixed eventually. So next up we have, I was lucky that I got this one. I did, because right after I bought it, the price in this one and the other game in this series went like through the roof. And that is Outrun 2. There's also that Outrun 2006 head-to-head or coast-to-coast that like are worth like hundreds of dollars for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, it's an update to the original Outrun Racing arcade game, which I love. But this one just ups the ante. There's a lot of really cool modes. There's one where it's like called Heart Attack mode, where the more risks you take while driving, like drifting and like driving close to enemies and like cutting them off and all that, your girlfriend that's sitting next to you in the car will like give you hearts. And the more hearts you have at the end of the race, the better your points are going to be. But it's a super fun, really fast racing game that follows the same idea behind the original, where you have like that branching path that you can take all the different paths and end up with a different place every time. This one's just better graphics, better controls and everything, and it has like the drifting mechanic now, which is really rad. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. I put that on my Xbox Diamonds in the Rough video that I did a few years ago. This is not alcohol. This is ginger beer. It's soda. I put this one in that Diamonds in the Rough video as well. What's up, Retro Coop? That's Painkiller Hell Wars. It's a first-person shooter where you're kind of like a mix between John Constantine and Spawn. You're like brought back from hell to like kill the demons that have been escaping, and it's really, really fun. The weapons you have are pretty cool. You have like this chain hook, like what is it called, like a hook shot kind of thing that you can use to either like push enemies away or actually bring them up close, and then you blow them away with a shotgun. A lot of cool weapons to pick up. The mechanics are pretty solid. It is kind of like an early first-person shooter also, so some of the speed in which you turn is like way too fast the first time you play it. It's a lot of fun. It is a port of a PC game, so it also kind of has some issues that didn't port over very well, but for the most part, it's pretty fun. So if you like those fast-paced, like horror-themed first-person shooters, yeah, do it. Give it a shot. Hook me up. I only have Outrun 2. I don't have 2006. I just have Outrun 2. Actually, no. I think I have 2006 on the PSP. I think. Let me fix this. Okay. This is a classic. Panzer Dragoon Orta. I absolutely love the Panzer Dragoon franchise. The original two on the Saturn were the ones that I was using to show everybody what the Saturn could do. I was like, look at this, look at this. This is like beyond anything I've seen. And then the PlayStation came out and it's like, okay, fine. But like Saga is one of my all-time favorite games, like in my top 10 games of all time. This one is like the upgraded version of those original 2 games where it's not like the RPG. This one is just a straight up shooter. Excuse me, like the first 2 games, but the graphics are absolutely stunning. And this does HD. You can play this in, well, it says 480p, but I know there's a way to upgrade it to like 720. No matter what, it looks fantastic no matter what type of resolution you're playing it in. It's some of the best graphics on this console, and it plays great. If you're a fan of this franchise, you absolutely have to have this one. This one is definitely better than the original 2, but I still like Saga a bit more. But it's absolutely fantastic. I wish that franchise was still going. Sadly, it is not. We just got the remake of the original that came out on like the PS4 and the Switch. But I wish we were getting more sequels, at least a sequel to Saga, because I would love that. Best railgun shooter ever. Hell yeah. I put this one on my list of Diamonds in the Rough for the Xbox in that video, and that is Pariah. I knew nothing about this game when I first picked it up. I found this at that disc replay place for like $3. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'll pick it up. It looks kind of cool. The graphics look kind of neat. And it's a first-person shooter. And I love my first-person shooters. So I picked it up and I was like, wow. Number one thing that I noticed is the facial animations in this were beyond anything else that I saw on this console. Like, whatever company developed this, was it like Hip? I don't remember the name of I can't read the name. It's so tiny. The facial animations in this are so well done. It didn't look like your standard video game where it's kind of like, meh, 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 ooh, meh, meh, meh. It was like their mouths were actually moving and distorting to the words they were saying. So it was like choreographed really, really well. And I was like, all right, fine. And then something happens, like the first cinematic that you have, like you meet this girl, and then something effed up happens. And I was like, holy crap. And this game kind of had me in, for this on the story area. I was like really loving it. And the gameplay is actually pretty cool. And it actually has like a level builder mode too. It's like create unlimited backgrounds with the exclusive map editor and share them with your friends and the world via System Link, Memory Unit, or Xbox Live. So like the multiplayer arenas, you can make your own, kind of like with what was it? Time Splitters Future Perfect. So it's pretty awesome. The graphics are great. It has multiplayer and all that. I absolutely loved it, which is why I put it in that video. It's really, really fun and really underrated. Like nobody ever talks about that game. And it doesn't say it's an exclusive to the Xbox, but honestly, I don't recall ever seeing that on the PlayStation 2 or the GameCube. So the Duke controller, oh yeah, I bought an Xbox like back in the day, like when I was like a year old. I was a year old at the point when I bought it, I think. But yeah, I had the Duke controller for like the first year of it, and then I ended up buying the smaller one because I have kind of small hands, so using the Duke was not fun. It comes with the first game. What are you talking about? Oh, Panzer Dragoon? Yeah. Hell yeah, I love Panzer Dragoon. That makes me want to play it, but I can actually pop that probably into my Xbox One and play it. So I have a way of playing some of these things. I bought this even though I can't really play it anymore. Unless it has an offline mode, I'm not sure. But Phantasy Star Online episodes 1 and 2. So I do believe this is a remake of the Dreamcast game or a port of the Dreamcast game. Games to the Xbox. Not sure if I can actually play this or not, but yeah, these are like really early MMOs. It's mostly just like get together your friends online and just beat the crap out of things. I don't think it was like a legit MMO until like Universe came out. But yeah, I remember playing this on the Dreamcast for at least a month, and I thought it was pretty cool, but I got sick of it real quick, so I never really went very far with it. But I found that dirt cheap at like, I think it was People Play Games, honestly. Next up, we have Phantom Crash Speed Stealth Survival. I like mech games, and this is just another mech game. I don't know if Metal Jesus had talked about this in one of his videos or not, but I don't remember why I bought this, unless maybe it was just really cheap and it was like, it was there, I picked it up. But I don't recall much about this one. I might have just played it when I first got it, because this is probably a game I've had like since I got back into collecting, and I don't recall. But yeah, I probably just popped it in to make sure that it works and put it on the shelf and haven't gone back to it. So I can't really comment. This one I remember picking up. This was like at my old retro shop, People Play Games. There was like a door in the back of the store. I mean, there were games on all the walls, but there was like a door in the back of the store that went to like the stock room. And they had a shelf above that door that you really couldn't reach without a ladder, where they would put some of the more expensive disc-based games, and you had to ask someone to get games down for you. They usually had, I remember for the first like year of going to the store, they had Jurassic Park, Operation Genesis for the Xbox up there, and a couple other games. And this, they had Phantom Dust. The only thing was I ended up not paying very much for this. I think I paid maybe $20 for it. But it looks like an RPG. At its core, Phantom Dust is like a card game, only ramped up with incredible graphics and explosive action. Phantom Dust masterfully blends action and strategic gaming into one. Play through over 100 single-player missions. Strategically create arsenals from more than 300 skills to defeat your opponents. Battle online with friends or against them in co-op and versus Xbox Live modes. Collect skills in battle and trade them online via Xbox Live. If I remember, I could have sworn this was like a card battling game, but on the back it looks like an RPG. I remember I played this just to make sure that it worked, but I haven't actually put a lot of time into it. That's what happens when you have like 4,000 games in your collection. Can't play them all. But it looked really cool, and I remember like asking about it when it was sitting up on that top shelf above that door, and I was like, "Can I take a look at that?" And I immediately assumed it was going to be like this $100 game like Operation Genesis, and it gives it to me, and it was like $20, and I was just kind of like, "Huh, okay, I'll take it." Next up, we have, this is by Bethesda, like early Bethesda. That's the Pirates of the Caribbean, and the thing about this is not really based on the movie. It's like an open world pirate game that has the Pirates of the Caribbean license slapped on it to sell copies, because I don't know if this was intentional, like if Bethesda was making an open world pirate game and then the movie Pirates of the Caribbean came out and was like a big hit, so they licensed it and slapped it on here to sell copies, because it doesn't really have much to do with the movie, like at all, or anything to do at all with it. But like I said, it is an open world pirate game. And it's actually not too shabby. I played it for a little bit when I first got it. I found this at like half-price books of all freaking places. And yeah, it was like $6 or whatever, and I brought it home because licensed games, and I was playing it. I was just like, this doesn't have anything to do with the movie, but I mean, it's fun regardless. I mean, I really like it. I just need to spend more time with it, but you know, I was collecting all types of games at that point in time, just buying whatever I could find, and didn't have time to play all of them. You all know the drill. Next up, we have this franchise, which is fantastic, sort of. We got the Prince of Persia games. I was super excited when Prince of Persia, the remake, The Sands of Time, dropped, because I was a huge fan of Prince of Persia back in the day. I love those cinematic platformers like this, and Flashback, and Out of This World, or Another World to people overseas, and that kind of stuff. So to have like a 3D version of it really intrigued me, and the reviews were coming out like saying it was amazing. So like day one, I ran out and picked up a copy, and it did not disappoint. Like, I plowed through this game so quickly, you have no idea. Super fluid fighting, the platforming. It was the first time somebody did like a 3D wall run that you see. Like, it's like a common thing in games, like the Star Wars Jedi games nowadays use that as like a permanent thing. It's the first time I saw a wall run. Like, the platforming is great, the sword fighting, everything about it is great, but the slowing down of the time and rewinding to like redo a mistake that you made, like, oops, I jumped too far and fell off a ledge. Let's rewind that and try again and not jump far and like that far again. That kind of thing. The mechanic is so much fun, and just made this so much different from all the other like 3D fighting games that were out there, that I fell in love with it. I was like, this is one of my favorite games of all time now. Absolutely love it. But when it came to the original sequel, Warrior Within, I don't know what it was. If it was just like they took the original game and then just like made the character look all goth and edgy now. Like, oh, he's an edgelord. Ooh, you know, he's so emo or whatever. But like, I got stuck. Like, my character got stuck in this I don't know. I was like, I fell off of like a stairwell, and there was like this like pillar that was like, it was like a rotating stairwell, and there was this pillar in between, and I got stuck in between the pillar and the stairs, and it like ruined the game. Like I would have had to have started over from the beginning again. That's like how screwed up it was. Like I could not get out of it, and every time I would reboot, I would start or restart the game, I would start right up stuck like that. So I never actually beat this one. And it kind of ticked me off because this one felt very like thrown together. Like, oh, the first one was a hit. Let's just throw one out there within a year of this one. Like, we'll do like the Assassin's Creed thing and just like crank another one out and like, get some money. And it did feel very rushed and kind of thrown together. It did still get great reviews, but I never actually beat this one. Ooh, look, boobs. So I probably should sit down and play through that. And then there was the third game, which is the Two Thrones. And I've never actually played this one, but it looks pretty fantastic. Because of my bad experience with Warrior Within, I never actually purchased this one back in the day. So this is the first time I've actually owned it, is currently in my collection. So there's that. But I will play through. I definitely want to play through Sands of Time again. I do believe there was a HD remaster of that's out there somewhere for I think it's for the PS4 and the Xbox One. Maybe I'll pick that one up and then play through all of those. Didn't know anything about this. I found this at my new local shop, and I paid $8.99 for it because the label is still on the back. It's called Prisoner of War, and it's set up like a movie. It's World War II Prisoners of War, just Prisoners of War on the spine. What does it say? Directed by? Oh, whatever. But it looks like it's set up like a movie. Like you even have like live pictures of actors on the front instead of like drawings or whatever, which is kind of cool. But it looks like to me like a very serious version of The Great Escape, where you're trying. It's like Metal Gear Solid in a concentration camp kind of thing, which I thought sounded kind of interesting. And like let's see where they take it. And it's all right. It has like some control issues, and the camera kind of sucks. But for the most part, it's like interesting that someone actually thought that this would make for a good game. Kind of like when I was I did the 31 Days of Licensed Games series last year, and I was talking about like there was a game that like a licensed game that or a license that didn't need a game was Platoon. It's like, why would you want to turn that movie, that dark, like bleak movie, into a video game for kids? It's kind of like the same thing here. Like you really wanted to turn this concept into a game, but it's not bad. It's interesting. We have these. I picked these up at a Goodwill. I only find stuff like this at Goodwill. I never find like random coolness, except maybe Scrapland that I talked about on the first stream for the Xbox a couple weeks back. But I picked up the Project Gotham racing games. I got 1 and 2, and these are just Gran Turismo-esque racing games. I think these are more simulation than arcade, which means I probably won't like them very much. Yeah, number 1 racing franchise on Xbox is because you don't have Gran Turismo on Xbox. That's why. So yeah, I found these like for $5 each, so I just picked them up because why not? I might not keep them. This one I really liked. I had this on the PlayStation 2 back in the day. That is PsyOps, the Mindgate Conspiracy. And this is a third-person action game where it starts off with you using guns, but you eventually start to get like psychic powers. Like you can perform, you get like telekinesis, and you can become like a fire starter and stuff like that. And you can like drain people's brains out of their heads and get their knowledge kind of thing. Like you need to know a key code. Suck it out of somebody's brain, and oh, look, I can work this computer now kind of thing. It's pretty cool the way it works. It can be a little clunky at times. I do remember like sometimes the camera got in the way, and the graphics aren't the greatest, but it's super fun, and it's a really cool concept. I like it a lot. This one just got a sequel. Psychonauts. This was like if I remember correctly, one of the most critically acclaimed games to come out back in this era. And I remember talk of like sequels and all this other kind of stuff. And then like we didn't get any kind of sequels or spin-offs from this until like the PlayStation 4 era. There was like out of nowhere like a PSVR game based on Psychonauts. And then we got Psychonauts 2. And it's like, wow, those like it took you this long it's taking that long to make the sequel to Beyond Good and Evil, but yeah, it shouldn't be surprising. But this is like a 3D action platformer, which I really enjoyed, and there's like some psychic abilities mixed up in there as well. And I remember really enjoying this back in the day, but I never actually beat it, so I should probably do that. But I do have the HD version, so I'll probably play that. But I remember I didn't buy this. This came, if you remember in the first stream I did a couple weeks back for the Xbox, that I was talking about how I used to do the sound for a burlesque show. And the guy who was the photographer for the burlesque show found out that I was collecting and just brought me like a box full of his Xbox games that he didn't want anymore because he didn't need them anymore. They were just like taking up space in his cloud. So he was like, I'll give them to Chris. And this was one of the games that was in his box. And I was like, you don't realize how much money you just saved me from buying like all of these bangers. And I don't think he even looked on eBay to see how much they were worth. He just like handed them over to me just because, which I thought was pretty nice of him. Next up, we have Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc. I've never actually played this, but it's another 3D platformer, just like Part 2 was. Part 2 on the Dreamcast is pretty awesome. But I totally forgot that there was a third one. And when I found this at Half Price Books when I was like browsing one time, I was just like, oh, there's a third one? Okay, I'll take it. So, yeah, I haven't actually played it, so I can't really comment. But I love Rayman as a character and as a franchise. Then we have Red Dead Revolver, the precursor to Red Dead Redemption that everyone loves. This is not an open world Western game, but it is in the same franchise. Because this is like the original, and then you've got the Redemptions after. But this is like a 3D action game where you're playing as a cowboy trying to go and get revenge. I don't remember exactly why. But there's like riding on horses, and you get Gatling guns, and it's really, really cool. And the thing I remember the most about this game isn't the fact that, it's fun or it's cool or it's a cool concept or something like that. It's that my buddy Paul, who I did not recall being the biggest gamer, but when he would find a game that he really liked, he would let everybody know, and he had to let everybody know about it at great length. And one day it was when I was making my Star Wars fan films, and we were doing a fight practice for the second one, which Paul was in. We did our fight practice, and then he was like, oh, I picked up this game called Red Dead Revolver. You guys need to see it. I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking when he said you guys need to see it was I'll play the first level or I'll play it for about 20 minutes, and then, that'll be it. No, he pretty much intended to beat the entire game in one sitting for all of us. And we're all sitting there, me and my friend Justin and his wife Elizabeth are like, should we say something? Because we're kind of hungry. Should we do something? Should we say something? Because he looks like he's having too much fun to say, knock it off. We want to leave. But we watched him play this for probably 2 hours. And then finally we're like, you know what? We've got things we got to do today. So I'm going to have to cut it short. So can we pick this up next time? And luckily he didn't bring it with him the next time. But it is pretty rad. I mean, I do enjoy it quite a bit. There's even like a train heist kind of part to it that he was doing. Why is this stack so much? Whatever. So there was a point in time like a year or 2 years ago when this game, everybody was talking about it, and I got on the bandwagon. And I was just like, oh, cool, I'll pick it up too because it's still kind of cheap. And all of my friends went out and picked up a copy, like the Game Grinder and what's his name, Corpse Flood. It's been a long day. And a bunch of other YouTuber friends went and picked this up because it was being talked about a lot. And I never actually played it, but I was like, I'm glad I have it. And then the Game Grinder Church just played through this a month ago or 2 months ago, and he was like, wow, this game is jank as hell. All the hype was not real. We're talking Red Ninja, End of Honor. And he got in on it too, and he was like, oh, everyone's talking about it. Sounds like a really cool game. I like ninja games. He loves games where you're playing as a female character. I mean, I love that too. And when he finally got around to playing it, he was like, this game sucks. And the camera sucks. The control sucks. Everything about it is kind of janky. But it is a 3D action hack and slash where you're playing as this female ninja. And it sounds really, really cool. I love ninja games, especially scantily clad ninjas like that. But the controls and the technical aspects of it are kind of craptastic. So it's kind of a bummer that it was or that's why we're short one. That's why I took a game out. It's a bummer that, he's saying that was kind of craptastic. But I still want to play it for myself and see what's up. Maybe there's things that bother him will not bother me because, like I said, I'm kind of a connoisseur of crappy games. So maybe I'll get a kick out of it instead. We'll see. But I'm still going to play it. Next up, we have Reservoir Dogs. Had to pick this up because me, licensed games. And this is a 3D Grand Theft Auto style version of this. And it's like the movie extended ad nauseum. And basically the same plot. You guys are doing a heist, or a bunch of people are brought together to do a heist, and it goes completely wrong. And everyone's trying to either get away or, not get killed in the process, get away from the cops, get away from the person who hired you, who's now pissed off that the heist went completely wrong and all that. And it's not great. I mean, it's a cool idea. I think it's one of those games or one of those movies that I never thought would ever get licensed to become a game. But I'm not sad that it did because I love the movie. So it's kind of cool, kind of like with Fight Club. Like, I can see why they would think it would make for a great movie or make for a great video game. I can't talk. But when you actually see it in execution, it's kind of like, bleh. This is kind of that. It didn't honestly need to be turned into a video game. But at the same time, I'm not like sad that it is. It's a talking point. Why is this so heavy? Is the manual that big? The manual is that big for this? So we got Roadkill, which is essentially like Midway's version of Twisted Metal. They're trying to start a franchise off. It didn't work. You can see how much I paid for it. $7.99 at Video Games Then and Now. Yeah, it's all right. It's like trying to be Twisted Metal, but not nearly as fun. Characters aren't nearly as unique or like entertaining, I guess, because they're like, I find the characters in Twisted Metal really interesting and all that. But here it's just kind of generic. So disappointing that, it was not the next Twisted Metal. I don't think anything can really beat Twisted Metal in that genre other than another Twisted Metal game. Like, Twisted Metal is great. Twisted Metal Black? Hell yeah. Bring that franchise back, goddammit. Had to get this because licensed games. I actually bought this in LA when I was visiting my brother. And that's RoboCop. So there's a game shop out there called Game Dude. Does this have the... Yep, it has it right there. There's this game shop out there that I had read about called Game Dude. They do movies and stuff like that too, but they mostly focus on video games. And like when I walked in there, the first time I visited my brother, this is probably 2016. I walked into this shop and it is like floor to ceiling video games. The whole store is just video games, and it's all behind a counter. You can't actually touch any of them. You have to ask someone to get them down. But like so many games, like I almost got down on my knees and cried. Like I was having like a nervous breakdown. Like I was overwhelmed by what I was seeing. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my apartment because of this. Like I'm not going to be able to pay rent because I'm going to spend so much money in here. Luckily, I was able to reel it in. But the thing was, the dude that was getting the games for me that I was seeing on the shelves was laughing at me by what I was picking. Because, me and my licensed games, I like licensed games. Like, I always am willing to give a license that I like a chance when it comes to the video game port or, adaptation. But 9 times out of 10, they're not the greatest. But, every once in a while, I'm looking for that one that's, pretty awesome. So I was buying all these, like, licensed games, and the guy is, like, laughing at me as I'm doing. He's like, really? Like, I remember I asked him for Superman Returns for the Xbox, not realizing that it was available on the 360 and the PS3. So, like, when I said, can I get the Superman Returns? He looks at me, he's like, you actually want this? I'm like, you're selling it, aren't you? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, then give it to me. He's like, okay. And then I asked for RoboCop, and he started giggling again. I was like, do you want me to spend my money? I'm like, you making fun of me is not helping. He's like, okay. But it's a first-person shooter where you're playing as RoboCop. We got a new RoboCop game coming out for the modern consoles that's a first-person shooter also. This one is not the greatest. This is one of those 9 that are not great. This is like shovelware kind of thing. It's not bad. It does capture RoboCop. It does feel like RoboCop. It's just the mechanics of it are not the greatest. You get like different guns. You obviously have RoboCop's that Mac 10 or whatever the hell it was called that he has stuck in his leg. But you also can get that attachment from part 3 that has like the submachine gun and the flamethrower and the rocket launcher on it. You get that at some points. It's okay, but it could have been a hell of a lot better. I have very high hopes for the new one that's coming out for the modern consoles. This was one of the games that the first series of video game collection live streams that I did a few years back, I actually was looking at my PlayStation 2 collection as I was streaming those, that console. I was picking the games out of my collection for the PS2 that I would rather have on the Xbox. Because there was like, the better graphics and sometimes better sound and all that because the Xbox can do HD. And this was one of the ones that I sold so I can get an Xbox version. That's Robotech Battle Cry. I used to watch Robotech all the time when I was a kid. The original Macross saga. They used to play that on like one of the UHF stations around here in the mornings before school. Absolutely loved it, even though it was a lot of melodrama dealing with like relationship stuff that I didn't give a crap about. I just wanted to see big robots smacking the crap out of other robots. But this one is like it's not an on-rail shooter, but it kind of feels like it at times. But like you're in one of the, what were they called? I knew you were going up against the Zentradi. Is it Tri-Invaders? Is it Transform? Veritech, one of the Veritech ships, the airplane that could turn into that mode where the airplane has legs, then you turn into the full robot also. They have different names. Let's say here, you must engage the enemy in Battleoid mode, aerial dogfights in Guardian mode, and outer space battles in fighter mode. Yeah, it's like your standard. It's almost like playing Omega Boost, I guess. It's pretty cool. I like it. It could have been a hell of a lot better, but, it is what it is. But then there's also the sequel, Battletech Invasion, and this one is more of the same, but better, and you're actually on foot a lot of times in this one. This one is pretty rad. This one, I think, still takes place in the Macross universe. No, this is like one of the follow-ups. 21st century, humankind is freed from the confines of the solar system through the discovery of an ancient technology known as Robotech. Contact with the stars also brought the war with the Invid. Oh, no, so this is still Macross. Okay, Invid was part of that. Okay, yeah, but this one is definitely the better of the two games. More robots to fight with and play as, and you get like turning into motorcycles and shit. It's pretty cool. I do believe I have the first game for the PS1. I have the sequel, Rocky Legends, for the Xbox. And this one is the better of the two games. This one has more characters from the movies and stuff. You can fight Drago, you can fight Mr. T, you can fight Apollo Creed, but there's also just randos also. This one I don't think is as broken as the first one was, where like characters would be fighting without like the back of their heads and you can see like their eyeballs floating in the air and shit. But it's okay. Like it's just a generic fighting game. It's done in 3D. So I would definitely take like the Fight Night EA games over those any day. I still haven't played this. But I had to pick it up because licensed game. So they made a game based on Scarface. So there was a game, or two games based on The Godfather, which got turned into like open world gangster games. So why not do the same thing with Scarface and do like a drug dealer open world game? So there you go. You got Scarface in 3D, open world, sell the cocaine to everybody. Kind of thing. Another one that I'm surprised exists, but when like Scarface like took off, it has like a life of its own. Like the movie was like, it was well known in the 80s when it came out, but like in the 90s it like blew up. Like all of a sudden like everyone was like using it as a reference for like rapping and whatnot. And like of course they were going to capitalize on that, make a game out of it. I don't know if it's any good, but next up we have Seablade, which is this the one that's no, this is not the Grand. What is the Twisted Metal one I'm thinking of? Is that Bloodwake? I'm getting this and Bloodwake mixed up. This one is just like a water vehicle shooter. I don't remember much about it. I'm like, really? Why am I drawing such a blank on this one? Yeah, Bloodwake is the one that's like playing Twisted Metal on the water. I don't recall much about this. That's weird. Cities flooded, mankind enslaved. Search, rescue, and destroy in the air and under the sea. White knuckle, fly and shoot action, 39 adrenaline pumping missions, advanced weaponry for maximum firepower, 6 challenging apocalyptic environments, unlock sea blades for multiplayers, 2 to 4 players. Place spies in strategic locations, fly into battle to rescue hostages, destroy enemies with massive firepower. Like, I am completely drawing a blank on this. What's up, J-Chip? How's it going? Welcome. Almost done, though. Next up, we have Second Sight. I remember seeing this at my local electronics boutique back in the 2000s when this game originally came out, and I don't recall if I don't think I ever bought it. I don't think so. Although I probably should have, because it's a psycho-psionic thriller from the creators of Time Splitters. I absolutely love Time Splitters. Free Radical. Yeah. What? Oh my god, are you an asshat now? J-Chip's an asshat. Oh, shit. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Awesome, J-Chip. Thank you. I don't remember if this is the third. This is the third person one. Yeah, it's a third person. Isn't it? Or is it a first person? High powered fire. Yeah, third person sniper rifle, tranquilizers. No, it's a first person shooter with third person aspects when you switch to certain weapons. But your psychic powers also as well. Okay, like I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this one also. Maybe it's because I'm tired. I don't know. I apologize, everybody. Like I am like blanking on games. Yeah, I don't recall. Like I'm trying to remember if I played that one or not, but I don't remember. I was confused about Seablade. I thought that was Bloodwake, and Second Sight for some reason I'm confusing with Psyops. I don't remember playing that one. When you buy so many games, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything. Whew. Okay, next up we have the Serious Sam games. I think there's also another one that I'm missing. It was like one of the DLC things for the first game. They released like a separate DLC disc or DLC. But these are first-person shooters that were ported over from the PC. I never played them on the PC, but I played this for quite a bit when I first got back into collecting. I remember I found this at Half Price Books, and I brought it home, and I immediately started playing it because I remember hearing about it all back in the day and how much people thought it was fun. I was playing it, I'm like, it's okay. It's not like the greatest first-person shooter. Like, there's definitely better ones out there, but it's pretty cool. It's like playing Duke Nukem, but not quite as machismo-ish, I guess, is the way I'd put it. But yeah, it was fun, and it has a multiplayer mode, and then there's part 2, which I have not played because I never beat the first one. But more of the same, more first-person shooter action. Awesome. Next up, this one still gets me. So we have Shattered Union, and I found this at... Was it like that out of I think it was at Half Price Books, but it was like that real out of the way one that's like in the rich area. And I looked at the back of this and I'm like, oh, it's like a strategy game. But I'm sitting there going like, but what do you mean by Shattered Union? It says, become the leader of one of 7 factions vying for control of a fractured United States during a second civil war. Your choices in battle affect your choices in battle affect you politically. Lead wisely. Capture tank factories in Ohio. Lay siege to Chicago. Please don't. We're getting sieged. We're under siege already from all the smoke from Canada. Or drop a nuke on LA. Choose to lead one of 7 factions. And I was sitting there going like, oh God, like especially now with the way people are acting, and Chuck Norris even saying that like Texas should secede from the Union kind of thing. This is very disturbing. So that's the reason why I picked it up. I was just like, topical. So, but it's a strategy game and it looks fun, but the theme of it is what gets me. Like, I'm surprised that happened. Next up, we have Shenmue 2, the port of the Dreamcast game we never actually got over here for the that console. For some reason, I think it was just because Shenmue didn't sell very well overseas or over here on the Dreamcast. It sold pretty well over in Japan. They got the sequel over there for the Dreamcast, but it never got ported over here. But we did eventually get that port to this console. And this comes with 2 discs because one disc is... Come on, yo. This disc is Shenmue the Movie. It's basically a recap of everything you need to know from the first game for the main plot and all that and the characters that you come across to be able to play this if you haven't played the original. So there's that, but this more of the same. It's like I remember watching Rocket Sauce play this. I haven't played this one. I mean, I played it to make sure it worked, but I haven't actually played through it because I've never actually beaten the original. I watched Rocket Sauce play through a little bit of this, and there's like some platforming stuff where you got to like walk across beams and you got like a balance meter and whatever. You got to make sure you don't fall and going around just talking to every single person you come into contact with, and like doing stupid little fetch missions and stuff, and still trying to find the guy who killed your dad. In the meantime, you know where I can find any sailors? But graphically, it's cool. It's better designed than the first one. Like, people aren't as stiff, but still kind of stiff. But I like the story of the original. I need to beat it completely, but yeah. The worst it was on Tuesday. It wasn't bad on Monday. Monday was kind of okay. Tuesday, I walked outside and it stank like dead bodies. Like, I walked outside and I was like, oh, and you couldn't see for more than you could, like, your view distance was maybe a quarter mile, and like it looked like the apocalypse was happening outside. Like, I was sitting there going like, oh, pretty soon we're all going to be saying that everything is shiny and we're going to be fighting over gas and everything. It looked like the apocalypse outside. Yesterday, it was still smoky out. It wasn't nearly, like, you probably see maybe a half mile now, but it didn't stink anymore. But people started wearing masks like during COVID, which I thought was strange. I'm like, you're wearing that mask to protect people from your spit. That's not a filter. Like, you need to be wearing a respirator in order to like not breathe in that smoke. So the face masks everybody's wearing is kind of silly to me. But today it rained a little bit and it kind of like washed some of the smoke away. Like, it's not that bad now. Best voice acting in anything? Yeah. We're still in the beautiful green cases. Hell yeah, Peter, what's up? Best voice acting in anything. You know where I can find some sailors? Next up we have Sid Meier's Pirates. I do believe this is a port of a PC game, and I don't know much about it. It just says, set a course for adventure. Key features: take the helm of 27 upgradable ship types. Visit ports to receive missions. Build your crew, trade goods, even dance. Aww. Jump into arcade-style 4-player versus ship battles and upload scores and download sales, flags, and content using Xbox Live. Well, that's gone. Yeah, you're an hour late, dude. Yeah, I'm getting close. I only got maybe 7 more games to talk about after this. But yeah, it's a bunch of different game types. I remember that much because I remember reading about this when it was coming out for the PC. But have not actually spent a lot of time playing it. I've only booted it up to make sure that it worked. This one is my original copy from back in the early 2000s because... Hang on a second. Come here. What are you doing? Come here. Thank you. My ex-girlfriend bought this for me. She came to visit. She was from Kentucky. She came to visit, and her and my mom decided to go out shopping together one day, and they left me at home. And when they were out together, my ex went and bought me this, and I was like, oh, haven't beat the third one or the second one, but cool, thank you. We're talking Silent Hill 4, The Room. Yeah, I had played through the first, the original. I had gotten maybe halfway through the second. I had not played the third one yet. And she bought me this, and I was like, oh, thank you. I mean, I wanted it. Don't get me wrong. I was like, yes, thank you. Awesome. But I was like, damn it. Now I have to play through the rest of the games. But this one is kind of unrelated. It's kind of like starting a new thing where you start off in this hotel room, and there's a hole in the wall, and you have to go into the hole in the wall, and you start going in all these weird hell dimension-y things. It was really kind of cool. I played it for a little while she was visiting so she could see what it was like, because she was considering picking it up too. It was pretty cool. It's just not like what the original games were, but maybe that was a good thing. But I have not played through this one much at all. I played it maybe an hour. But yeah, it's what I remember playing of it, I liked. Before I had a cool soundtrack that you could get when you pre-order the game. I did not pre-order it. It's interesting to say the least. Yeah, I remember going through that hole in the wall and being like, okay, this is cool. But the not open world, but being able to just roam around like you did in the original games, was kind of missing from that. Whoop, whoop. All right. I think I got this at Game Dude also in LA when I was visiting my brother, and that's the Silent Scope Complete Collection. So this has Silent Scope 1, 2, and 3, all arcade ports, 3-game bundle, and light gun support. The only thing is, you need a CRT for that light gun to work, which I don't have. I don't have a CRT, nor do I have the light gun. I would love to get that light gun sniper rifle. That would be really awesome. Maybe I'll look for it at MoGameCon. I don't know. But I need a CRT in order to actually use it. Thankfully, you can actually use the controller, which is why I bought it. I normally would have been like, like I don't have a lot of light gun games, but yeah, I made sure that you could play this with the controller first so I can actually do something. But yeah, super thrilled that they released this because I love playing Sniper or Silent Scope in the arcade. I thought that was so cool that when you look through the reticle or the eyepiece, that you actually had like another monitor in there that was zoomed into what you were looking at with the rifle. It was kind of cool the way that worked. Some love Silent Hill 4, some hate it. I think it's fine. You can't make any sounds to play that game. What do you mean, Peter? What you talking about? What you talking about, Peter? Okay, what else? Do I have anything up here that I need to bring down? No, I think I have any more Xbox stuff up there. The last one I had on top was Grand Theft Auto. Okay. I have like a bunch of the oversized boxes that some games come in, like over here on the top of this shelf right in front of me. And I was seeing if I had any Xbox ones. The last Xbox game I have up there is Grand Theft Auto Collection. Okay. It's Silent Scope. It's really? Anyway, so this is funny. This has a PGA Tour holographic sticker on the case, but this is not a PGA game in the slightest. It's a licensed game. And I do believe this is the Grand Theft Auto one. Yes, I do believe it is. We're talking The Simpsons Hit and Run. You can see the little PGA holograph sticker down there. Well, maybe if I buy that Tiger Woods game that you're always playing at MoGameCon, and it doesn't have that, I'll just swap the cases out. But I do believe this is the Grand Theft Auto Simpsons game. There's the one that's like Grand Theft Auto, and there's the one that's like Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi is... What's that one called? I got it for the Game Boy Advance. I don't remember. Crap. I do. Retro Coop, I do. That is going to be shown off in the next stream, but I will not be bringing the controller in here. I'll take a picture of it and bring it over here, and you can see it on my phone because that thing is massive. But yeah, this is the Grand Theft Auto Simpsons game where you're out on foot. You can steal cars and everything. And I remember this one was the one that was like it was kind of weird. I remember like the game came out. I don't recall it being like a big hit of any kind. I mean, it got like the greatest hit status or something, but I don't remember like any of my friends having it or anything like that. And then like the Xbox disappeared, like the Xbox was done. They're on Xbox 360. And then all of a sudden this game became like this thing that nobody could find and was worth a mint. And I don't remember why it did or how, but like copies of this were going for like 60, 70, 80 bucks, sometimes $100. What? Like, why? Nobody gave a crap when it was like new. At least nobody that I knew gave a crap. But it was like a hot commodity for about a year, if I remember right. And then when I got back into collecting in 2013, I never had a copy of it back then because I don't like The Simpsons. But like got back into collecting. I think I got this for like $7. I don't understand it. Road Rage, that's the one that's like Crazy Taxi. That's the one that I have on the Game Boy Advance. Yep. You need to brush up on your Tiger Woods skills. Yeah, you'll see that one next stream, Retro Coop. Next up is SVC Chaos, SNK versus Capcom. You know me and my SNK fighting games. And when they cross over with Capcom, Terry Bogard versus Ken, kick his ass, Terry Bogard. But yeah, it's a one-on-one fighting game that uses like the Capcom characters versus the SNK characters, which is cool with me. I wish we had more stuff like this. But not much to talk about other than the fact that, you know, it's rad that this actually happened. Apparently, Capcom is way more lenient with licensing their characters out than other places are, like NetherRealm is with Mortal Kombat. I would love to see like a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter game. That would be so goddamn rad. Next up, we have the classic Soul Calibur 2. So we all know that there were 3 versions of this game. Each console had their own exclusive character. Xbox got Spawn, PlayStation 2 got Heihachi from Tekken, and the GameCube got Link. My goal, Peter, you might have to remind me if you remember to remind me at Mo GameCon to try to find the other 2 versions of this, so I can get the other ones. This is the one that I had back in the day. This is still my original copy, by the way, the one that I bought back in the early 2000s. Fantastic sequel to Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur 1, I would probably have to say, is the most played game I had on my Dreamcast. Like, I played that thing to death. And naturally, when the sequel came out, I was like super hyped about it. Did not disappoint. I was always getting together with friends and we were beating the crap out of each other in this. I had the Xbox one. My buddy Justin, I do believe, had the GameCube one with Link. And another friend of mine, I don't remember if it was Tom or Gary, had the PS2 version. So I was able to play as all those other characters, but the one that I always wanted was because, graphical fidelity overall, the Xbox version. So I do need to find the other 2, but absolutely fantastic fighting game. Mechanics are all the same. It's just the characters are a little bit bigger. Everything is graphically better. The controls are super tight. Everything about it is perfection. Probably one of the best fighting game sequels ever made. Put it as a reminder in your calendar. Is there a DC versus Marvel fighting game? Is there? There's Capcom versus Tatsunoko on the GameCube. Sorry, on the Wii. There's Capcom versus SNK. There's Capcom versus Marvel. But the only thing I think DC's done is like DC versus Mortal Kombat. I don't recall a PS3 and 360. Really? I have to look that up. Speaking of Spawn, we've got Spawn Armageddon. I remember I went to that disc replay store that is not in existence anymore by me. And they had this sitting there, but it did not have a manual. Oh, shit. Game's loose. Yeah, it didn't have a manual. So I did not buy it. But as I was standing in the store with another stack of games in my hand, I remember using that stack of games to put my phone on top of it and like typing shit. I bought a copy of this off of eBay that did have the manual. And I do remember I paid like $12 for it. But yeah, Spawn Armageddon is like a 3D, third-person Spawn game. Kind of like a beat-em-up, kind of like a platformer. It's okay. It's... out of all the games I've played based on Spawn, probably the best one, but it's still not the greatest. Like, they're all kind of just like okay. This one's just the better okay, I guess. The okay, There's the one on the PlayStation 1, which is kind of all right. There's the beat 'em up that's on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, and that's all right. There's the one on the Dreamcast. Yeah, that's all right. But this is probably the best one out of them all. It's fun. And the last game I'm going to talk about today, I do recall getting this on that. Oh, let me see if I actually have it still in my bookmarks. Online stores. No, that's not it. No. Collector Vision, no. Game Fairy, no. GameStop Goat, no. Hard copy, no. Leap Trade. That was the name of it. I don't remember if I was able to remember talking about it that last time. Leap Trade was this website that this YouTuber that I used to watch, Jimmy something, or his name was Jimmy. I think he was friends with Joel from Media Glitch. But Jimmy's like house burned down or whatever at one point, and he lost all of his games. And he was like asking for donations to maybe build his collection back up or whatever. But all he started doing was like, these are the top selling games of the week videos. And I was like, I'm not watching this crap anymore. I don't remember what his channel was called. But he was always hyping up this Leap Trade website where you would go to the website, you would type in the name of a game you're looking for, and you would show what copies were available from other people. It was like people would put their games up for sale or trade on this website. You search for whatever game. It shows you if any are available, if people are willing to just flat out sell them, or if they're looking to trade for them. I was not going there to trade. I was going there to buy. And I remember there's a bunch of games that I wanted that I would make an offer to a guy, and I'd be like, look, I don't want to trade. I just want to buy it outright from you. And they would turn me down and like block me because they just wanted to strictly trade for stuff. That's a good way to get ripped off because you could like not realize what you have, realize you're giving them a really expensive game for a real cheap POS and get kind of screwed. So I always wanted to just buy the game up outright. And I was only able to get like, I think 2 games from them that way. And one of them was Sphinx and the Cursed Money. I remember hearing a bunch about this because it was like a remake of it or something coming out for the Switch or something. I just remember hearing about a remake. And I remember like seeing like, well, I want to play the original. I don't want to bother with the other. Like, I don't like how I've ever heard of this. I never heard of this game back when it came out. Why is it so popular all of a sudden that it needs a remake? So I wanted to see what the original one was, and it's okay. It's like a third-person action platformer. It's all right. It doesn't need a remake. Just like The Legend of K, I don't think needed a remake for the modern consoles like last generation. But, yeah, it's decent, I guess, but it got a remake. It got an HD remaster. Sure, why not? Probably because lack of content out there. But it's all right. And it was... I do remember paying maybe $10 for this off of Leap Trade, so it wasn't that big of a deal. True Xbox collector since you have the Capcom tank. Yes, I do. Lots of games. Lots of games! Thank you, Hunter. Thank you. Lots of games. Yep, Jimmy. You hear me out, but Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy is super underrated. Is it? Okay, so I need to spend more time with it. I could probably put this in my Xbox One, see if it'll actually work. Pretty sure that's Jimmy's channel. Yeah, lots of games. You got it. You got it, Hunter. Welcome, by the way. Was it remade? I know there was a free games with gold on Xbox in like 2020. It wasn't a remake, just a remaster. Yeah, it was a remaster. Yep. It's one of those things where I'm like, why? Like, I never heard about it. I was never one of those games that like was so huge, such a bestseller that like we needed a remake or a remaster, but it got one. Kind of like I said with Legend of K. That came out of nowhere. I remember Adam Koralik randomly going like, "Hey, Legend of K just came out for the Wii U." Like, what's Legend of K? Like, it's a remake or a remaster or whatever. I'm like, what was that? It turned out it was like a really underrated like PlayStation 2 game or something. And I was like, I never heard of it back then. I guess I'll pick it up now. Xbox game, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'll play it eventually when I get my Xbox working again. So I just need to get Jason to visit from Canada to bring his smoke with him. Triggering a memory in my head. Which one? What are you talking about? It's like Zelda with a lot of Egyptian mythology. Oh, well. That's it for tonight, everybody. That is part 3 of 4. Next Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Central, you'll get the final video in my Xbox Collection live stream series. Then we'll move on to another console. I'm not sure which one will be next. Maybe the DS, I think. Yeah. Jimmy's channel is Housefire. Oh, yeah. I take it easy. But I will be. So wait up, I'm not done yet. So tomorrow I'll be back with another stream. Tomorrow is my end of month pickup stream. And there's some interesting stuff I managed to snag this month that I'm looking forward to talking about. There's a couple of unboxings we're going to do as well. One of them is to see if I got a rare variant in the package. I've not opened it yet. I wanted to wait until the stream to open it to see if I did get it. And then there's another one that is a movie collection that I picked up that I am looking forward to unboxing with you guys as well. So I'll be back tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Central. I'm taking a half a day tomorrow. So there's a possibility I can do it at 7 p.m. Central, but I might just do it at 8:30 because that seems to be like the time now. Don't worry, Peter. You got a family to take care of. You got stuff to do. It's all right. Like I said, the cool thing about streaming on YouTube is it's always going to be there to watch later. So I don't expect everyone to be here all the time. It's cool. Everyone's got lives. So I'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Central for the end of June pickup stream. Like I said, going to be a lot of interesting stuff. Hope to see you there. And then I'll also be back next Thursday for the final Xbox live stream, Video Game Collection 2023, 8:30 p.m. Central as well. I am probably going to shoot another bunch of shorts tonight after this stream. So we'll probably get a short tomorrow morning or tomorrow early afternoon, followed by a stream tomorrow night. So you're going to get a lot of the old-ass retro gamer within a 24-hour period, all right? Hope you're ready for it. Prepare your balls. So try not to mess your jeans. You know what I'm saying? So I will talk to you all later. Have a good night. Stay safe out there. Chris, the old ass retro gamer, out. And don't forget, Tides of Flame, my Dungeons and Dragons campaign, streaming on twitch.tv/theoldassretrogamer. Go and check it out, please.